Good morning and welcome to At the Sharp End on a day-by-day basis. It runs every Monday, and this week I'd like to welcome Mr. Haroon Rashid, who's our Head of Digital Marketing, onto the show. Morning, Haroon.
Morning, Ian. How's it going? Nice to be back on the show.
It's going well, thank you, and thanks for coming on. And today we're talking about fostering innovation, why you need to foster innovation, and what it takes to be an effective leader to do that. And I think, well, so we do this across a number of channels for our clients, but we've been stimulated this morning by a great article written by Kathleen Davis that appeared on entrepreneur.com, and there's a great infographic that we'll reference in the show notes. But we'd like to kick off with that as well. So can we share that, Haroon?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the piece here that Kathleen's written, what really fosters innovation. And it says that initially, in the first paragraph, she says, so it doesn't come as a surprise that 61% of CEOs surveyed by professional services firm PricewaterhouseCoopers say that innovation is a priority in their businesses. So 61% of businesses claim that innovation is a priority. But then it kind of goes on to say, you know, how many of them are actually doing it and all that kind of stuff. So should we kind of go into that in a bit more detail?
I think we should as well. And I mean, 61% of CEOs saying that they need to innovate and they recognise that their company needs to innovate to move forward is really unsurprising. Whenever you talk to any company, you know, the way that a company grows is by driving innovation and recognizing how that innovation comes into their business. And this is a key problem, right? So startups are very innovative generally. Mid-sized companies go through a whole host of changes trying to deliver their products, and large companies become excellent delivery machines, but they tend to lose that innovation focus. So what we do at Khemeia Consulting is to look across all those pieces and the different disciplines to help innovation and stimulate innovation within a company. And so 61% is unsurprising. I think when you dig into it, it's probably actually higher than that. Because CEOs don't often identify innovation as the key. They identify things like sales growth. They'll identify things like we've got to do this better. Where we come from is actually doing things better might involve innovation. So it might be improving your process flow. It might be how you manufacture. It might be your business model. It might be how you sell. But it might be nuts and bolts innovation, i.e. product development as well. Do you agree with that, Haroon?
Totally, and it's good because last week's show we talked about how a lot of people say, oh yeah, we really want to innovate, but they say, but no, we don't want to do that. This is the way we've always done it, and we said that's innovation versus tradition. And so people may have the best intentions when it comes to innovation, but actually committing to it is a very different thing. In fact, I was going to say that on the piece, one of my favorite parts of this infographic, and I'll try and bring it up here, that if you can see that. Kathleen talks about innovation efforts that are sluggish and ineffective.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's really good. She says 55% don't effectively seek innovation opportunities. 66% don't have well-defined innovation strategies. And then underneath that, you can see the three little icons, and she says what's stopping them. Number one is resource constraints. That's time and people. Second is budget constraints. And third is lack of structured innovation processes or procedures. And I know definitely the first two affect all of us, but I know, Ian, you definitely help clients of ours with that third one about how to structure those innovation processes and procedures, don't you?
Absolutely. And it's interesting, isn't it, that, you know, those resource constraints and lack of time really come down to those three core pillars that I always talk about. That to move your business forward, you've got to focus on people, process, and finance. And actually, the two of those are finance, and the third one is process. So actually, we're covering, you know, we're very much in agreement with what Kathleen's written there and what we see in the marketplace and what clients often suffer with. So how do you overcome all that? I mean, that's the real question, right? if you're going to foster innovation, how do you get your company to do it? How do you get the people that work for you to do it? How do you move your business forward? How do you bring those new products to market? And that's the question. And so in the next part of the infographic, I don't know if you can get to that, Haroon, but actually I can as well. So you're doing it?
Yeah, I've got it now. Is it the right ingredients?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I've got it here.
Fantastic, thank you. So if we just look at that for a second, the right culture is absolutely crucial. And Haroon and I have talked about this with the other guys in Khemeia, because we have a very open communication structure. So we like to bring ideas that will help push our business forward, and we do that on a routine basis, and we've got quite a good structure to do that. The second point is one of the things that we talk about when we're planning business growth. So in the coaching activities that we perform, and it doesn't matter whether that's business coaching overall, or whether it's marketing, or whether it's product development, it's having that strong vision. It's what are you going to do with this product or service? Where are you going to take this business? Because once you've got that, the whole team can get behind it, right? You agree with that, Haroon?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I kind of like how number 2, this strong visionary leadership, is in red, and it kind of pops out from everything else, because Ian's done a load of content as well about why it's important to have that business vision and how to clearly communicate that business vision. Because a lot of times people have a vision, but it's just, is only stuck in their heads, isn't it? And they're not communicating to the staff. And I think it's funny because the rest of us have kind of gone on this leadership thing at the moment. Don't know if I cut off for a split second there.
Pause there. Yeah. We've gone on this leadership.
Yeah, we've gone on this leadership thing, and like for myself, I was saying that you may have the best marketing plan in the world, but unless you've got a strong leader or strong leadership to bring it forward, it's still just going to be a plan. So the same thing applies to innovation. You may have the best innovation ideas. You could write down all your systems and processes and go, that's great. But unless someone's going to actually do it, unless someone's going to take charge and say, right, we're going to go for it now, it's going to be worthless, isn't it? Because you could have a £1 million innovation idea, but unless it's actually brought out, it's worthless. It's not worth anything.
So let's dig into why that has such a big effect just a little bit. What we found, and what most companies find, is if you say to a company, you haven't got a strong vision, the business owner or CEO will say, but I have got a strong vision. I know exactly where we're going. That's not the point. The point is to have it written down, articulated, and for the management team and the staff to be able to see it and get behind it, because that's when they really become aligned. Everybody is pushing in the same direction, and it allows people to start thinking, okay, if I do this, it'll impact on the company's top line or bottom line, the profitability. We'll be able to do this, or we'll be able to open up this new market, or we'll be able to consolidate our position in this market, or push ourselves ahead of the competition. And it's only by being able to see that whole picture, and a pictorial representation of it is by far the best way to go, because people seem to react to that better than a sheet of numbers. Accountants take note. If you've got a sheet of numbers, turn it into a graph, because people understand graphs a little bit better. And if you can turn it into a nice pictorial representation of where you're going, even better still. Infographics are the explanation for that, I think. So go and have a look out there.
It's funny, isn't it? Because we're using an infographic right now to communicate this point, aren't we? It's
exactly.
Just a thing, so yeah.
So we encourage companies to articulate that vision and have it on the wall so that it's visible to all, right? And that means that your salespeople, your development people, your logistics people, your accountants can all understand where the company's going and what their part to play is in that process, and that's crucially important.
So Ian, would you say, because people may say to you, oh, is that a mission statement?
Absolutely not. A mission statement, if done properly, a mission statement's a great thing to get behind, but it doesn't tell you what the company's goals are. It doesn't put metrics around them that you can see whether what you're doing has a financial impact or not. it's a bunch of words, right? And it will help align people. It will help people understand what they're supposed to do. But this is not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is articulating a vision, and that must include financial metrics. It must include staff growth. It must include market information, and there are various tools for doing that. Visual strategy tools, typically. If you Google them, that's great. If you're on some of the coaching schemes in the UK, like Growth Accelerator, Business Coaching for Growth, there are some tools there that have been developed and are used routinely. The best ones are when companies adapt them to their own style, so that they put them in their own vocabulary and their own terms, and ideally develop with their own team. And that leads us on to that next part about communication. So could we go back to the infographic, Haroon? Would that be all right?
Yeah, which part do you want? Do you want the right ingredients? Or?
Yeah, the right ingredients. So there's a part in there about having an open, having an open communication, willingness to challenge and take risks, capability and creativity. But look there, 31%, ability to capture ideas throughout the organisation, and that comes down to communication, both ways actually. So management teams asking the employees how they could do things better and how they can fix problems, i.e. address market problems, not fix problems within the organisation, although that's important as well. And how employees can actually recognise an issue and bring it to the management team's attention. And the best way to do that is to have some sort of innovation panel, so have a formalised process. Before you get there, you've got to be willing to challenge the ideas. If you're not willing to challenge the ideas, well, that's going to be a key blocker in fostering innovation, right?
Oh gosh, yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because I think we were talking about this one day on the road, weren't we? Because I said there was one client of mine before I came to Khemeia who was like, "All right, Haroon, you just need to tell me to wind my neck in." It was his way of putting it, and he was wanting me to manage him, to challenge him, and I said, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, we dropped that. Sorry. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for, because some people say, "Oh yeah, come to us with ideas or come to us with ways to improve the business," but if you can't actually handle it, then you're hindering that growth. You're hindering your growth, and your innovation, aren't you?
And it's really interesting, because one of the key things about having that open culture is the ideas that come might challenge the existing business. So it might be that the new idea completely cannibalizes an existing market. And you've got to be absolutely sure that that's going to win out for you as a business, pardon me, to take that to market, to get behind it and take it to market. But if you've not got that open communication channel, then nobody's going to feel comfortable bringing that to a management team or an innovation panel.
Yeah, I like the culture that obviously I love the culture that we have in Khemeia, because it was really funny when I first started working at Khemeia. I'd go to yourself and I'd be like, okay, let's do a video with Darth Vader. I can't remember who came up with the idea. It might have been yourself or Wadey, I can't remember. But someone suggested we do a video with Darth Vader, and you didn't freak at all. You just went, all right, fine. When do we shoot? It was like, great. And then I'd go home, and my family would see the videos, and they'd be like, that's a really cool company to work for. And I'm like, yeah, of course it is. They're like, does it your boss mind? I'm like, my boss pointed the camera. It was
my boss is crazy. And that's
But I think you've really you've made it such an important part of our culture to say ideas are important, and we're all supposed to, if we're going to innovate, let's do it properly. Let's not just say we're going to innovate and then not innovate, which is what most people do. Let's actually try out new things, and I think Khemeia are not afraid to fail, which is a big part of it as well. And I think there are some leaders who say, yeah, we want to innovate, but we want to kind of take the safe route. But innovation typically isn't a safe route kind of thing to get to, is it?
No, absolutely not. No, and if you look at startup companies and the failure rates and the failure rates of companies that venture capitalists invest in, it's pretty high. You're probably talking about 3/4 of the companies that get investment or startup actually fail, and that might not be fail in a total we have no business kind of sense and they've wound up. It might be we failed to do that big ramp and make an exit, or we failed to get a buyout, or we failed to acquire the customers that we thought we needed or we said we needed. It might not be a total fail. It might still have a very good substantial business. So we have to be careful with the metrics slightly. But if you assumed 50% of companies that start up are probably going to fail, then that's not unreasonable. So there's got to be an element in there that when you innovate, you're not betting the farm on that single innovation. You've got to look after your existing business, you've got to foster your existing business, but you've also got to be looking to the future, to where that business is going, where it's growing, how you add value to your clients, and how your products are situated in the market. And that's all stuff that's relatively straightforward to do if you know how to do it. And that's actually what we specialize in. So, when we talk about market insights from time to time, and you may have seen John Stevenson, who's head of market insights, on some of these hangouts, he will dig into what's your competition doing, where your product's going to be focused, etc., what's the price point, and really try and help you establish some of those facts before you talk to the market. However, we encourage, because we embrace lean startup methodology, we actually encourage small and large companies to be testing the market as early as possible, because we don't want wasted resource development time, we don't want wasted cash, we don't want squandered opportunities. We want whatever the proposition that's going to market is to be as strong as possible, and that's really got to take an open mindset to embrace that. And take that forward.
Totally, and I'm going to share this. It's near the bottom of the infographic. This is a visual again of what innovation done right means revenue gains. And
absolutely right, yeah.
And you can see the top red line is the top innovating companies, and the bottom, the blue line, is the other companies who basically aren't innovating. And like Ian was saying earlier, innovation has to affect your finances, okay? So, but I think that's just a clear sort of way to show that innovation can have such dramatic effects on your revenue gains.
It is dramatic as well, and once you start doing it, the really interesting thing is you almost can't stop doing it. It becomes part of the company culture, and the company just drives forward and innovates again and again and again. Getting on that path is hard to start with, but with help from people like Khemeia Consulting, and if you check us out on Twitter or on our blog, or there are loads of ways to get in contact with us, follow us, share our stuff. There's lots of free tips out there as well, especially on Haroon's Hangout and At the Sharp End. We'd be happy to talk to you and help. And we're in the process of helping companies take products to market across a variety of sectors, including medical devices, test equipment, consumer equipment, etc., etc. So if you want to know more about the innovation process, and we'd be happy to have a conversation with you. So Haroon, what's next for Khemeia Marketing from an innovation point of view? Because you're a guy who's always pushing things forward.
Oh, I don't know if I can reveal that. That is highly, highly classified information. You need like presidential clearance to get that. But there are a few things that we are doing and we are developing. Funnily enough, on this whole leadership thing, one day, I think I said this on my show a couple of months ago. Me and John were sat down, we were coming up with different ideas, and I said at one point, I said, we need to stop doing these ideas just for now. Just stop for a second. We need to go back and implement all those other ones first, because we've got loads of ideas now, but we're not actually bringing them into the forefront. So we actually, I think it was in January this year, wasn't it, where I said, let's kind of develop that culture of execution, just really plow, get those things done. And the nitty-bitty tasks that always kind of get, further and further down your to-do list, I said, let's just get them done and really do it. And I think overall, from our marketing perspective, we became internationally featured. We have just grown so much with our social media channels. We've generated like hundreds of £1,000s worth of leads just by doing, by creating that culture of execution.
And that's another important point, right? It's that tenacity and that persistence. So it's okay having great ideas, but how do you get them from that writing them down on paper stage to actually being a tangible product or service or system? And most successful CEOs, I think you'll see quoted, actually carry a notebook around with them or some way of taking notes. I mean, we use our phones quite often. But the thing is to have a list of projects that you're thinking about working on in the future, down the line, when you've got the current stuff running. Where are you going next? Where are you going next? Always thinking about the future. And the culture of testing things out, so using those lean startup principles, is test it out, measure it, adapt it, because you're probably not going to be on the same trajectory that you think you were when you started, right? You've got a great idea, and we see this a lot with startup entrepreneurs particularly. They'll go out to the market and they'll test their idea, and the feedback's not what they want to hear. So they go, well, those guys just don't get it. We're going to make it anyway. They're setting themselves up for a failure. We believe, Haroon, I think it was actually you that coined the test, measure, adapt phrase from a marketing perspective, because it's crucial in marketing, right? In digital marketing.
Yep.
So we engender that with right outcome for our clients, and that's that, as I said, I came from the marketing team, because Haroon was saying, when we do content, we try it on a particular channel, but we'll test and measure what's happening to it, and if it's not getting the desired result, i.e. you're going to be spending more money on your budget than you need to get that result, then we'll do something else, or we'll adjust that content, adapt that content. But right, Haroon, do you want to dig into that a little bit more?
Totally. I mean, let's use us as an example. So Khemeia has so much content. So just for those of you who may not, this may be your first Khemeia show, I don't know. So we typically get out around about 6 to 8 pieces of content a week. Okay, and we've got multiple things going out a day. That's blog posts, that's videos, it's graphics. So we thought, to start with, well, Facebook is going to be a great platform for us. And we were posting stuff on there, weren't we? And we were just, but nobody was liking, nobody was commenting. We were going, what the hell? Like, what's up? But so that was an instance where we tested it, we measured it, and then we said, well, let's adapt it. So then we started thinking, well, people may not want to, our Facebook audience may not want to look at the content per se. Maybe they want to know us as people. So we just switched that, and we just started taking funny pictures, just out and around, about when we were doing talks, behind the scenes stuff, funny memes and things like that. And all of a sudden, whoosh, the likes went up, the comments went up, and everything, and people were engaging, and we were like, oh, that's interesting. But our audience had, in a way, informed us of what they wanted, but being willing to actually adapt and to innovate, that was the key there. So we had to be willing to change what we were doing.
And I think this is one of the tips that the great online marketeers talk about, isn't it? So John Hayden, hi John, another shout out for you. John Hayden talks about using his Facebook content as a steer for what blog content he's going to write, because it gives him a really good insight into what his audience is looking for. And that's a great way of testing out what people want. What do you want to know more about? Ideas on a postcard, if you're a Blue Peter fan. Ideas on a postcard to a PO box. Alternatively, you could email us, tweet us, Follow us on Facebook or follow us on Google Plus. But seriously, that adaptation and acceptance that you're going to have to adapt whatever your original idea was to get to market is a great way to engender success and make sure that whatever you're innovating, whatever your team have come up with, however you get into market, is going to be a success, and that's key to business growth. So this has been At the Sharp End. Thanks a lot to Haroon Rashid, Head of Digital Marketing at Khemeia and host of Haroon's Hangout, which is on a Wednesday if you want to follow it. Thanks, Haroon.
Thanks very much for having me on the show again, Ian. Really enjoying it.
No, you're very welcome. And superb infographic on entrepreneur.com written by Kathleen Davis. It'll be in the show notes, and we'll tweet and we'll give shout outs later on. But that's it for this week. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.